What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Survivor Now podcast. My name is Randy Bruce, and coming back from vacation, her week off, we are joined by Kara. Hey, let's get it. Hey. And Will might join a little bit later on in the show. Kara, how are we doing today?
I'm good. I'm happy to be back. Happy to talk about this episode. It was a good one.
It was good. It's heating up. So I actually think it's kind of good that Will's not here yet, because we can spend this time, just the first couple minutes, getting your reaction to last week's episode. Because I was watching last week's episode, and one of the first things that I thought was, damn, Kara's missing a good episode to talk about. Like, it was like, okay, when did you watch it? Because I know you were away. You were we talked beforehand, you were at the beach and the bar.
Yeah, so, beach and bars.
When did you watch the episode? And then what did you think of like everything that went down?
I watched it today before I watched tonight's episode. So it's fresh in my mind. I thought it was such a good episode. That would have been such a good one to talk about. I think honestly, like Sandra killed that episode. She was great.
Oh, I mean, she's been killing it this season. That's the thing I don't understand about Sandra. And like, obviously, we're going to talk a lot about Sandra in this episode.
Yes.
But she killed that episode. And that's one thing, like, this is her third time playing. And I think it's really impressive. It's kind of opening my eyes, because like a lot of people say Sandra is a little bit overrated. She won her first 2 times and then hasn't done anything since. It's going to be tough to do stuff when you've already won twice. That puts a massive target on your back. And she honestly was like leading this game. She was like dominating, the early part of the game.
Yeah, she really was. It's like just in the last episode, like her just, I don't know, she just really led the charge on that. And it was really impressive to see, because I feel like, I don't know, like, how do you let that slide? Because she's won twice, so she's gonna
she'd be the first one out if I had a chance.
Yeah, right. Like she did great. Unfortunately, not great this episode, but
I still think like it might have been a little out of her control this episode. I also have to, before we talk about like the episode that we're actually covering today, because I might have forgot to say that at the top, we are here to cover Survivor Game Changers, our rewatch series, and we're covering episode 5 today. But I'm just looping in Kara with what happened in episode 4, because she wasn't able to join us last week. This is your first time watching the season, and you got to see Debbie's episode. What? You looked like you were instantly trying to hold back a laugh.
Wait, she is such a character. She is so chaotic. Like she's really just good TV. Like it was great, like that. And I've seen that clip before, so it was fun to like see it in the episode.
I don't know, I said this last week, I don't know exactly what she was talking about with the whole like Haley was struggling to get over the balance beam, and I did it in, with ease. I'm a former gymnast. Exactly. She's a gymnast. And I'm like,
you can do it all.
Debbie, are we watching the same season? Like, she didn't make it over the second balance beam. I have no idea. And Haley did. Like, I don't know what's going through her mind in that moment.
She has to hype herself up, like she if no one else is hyping her up, Debbie's hyping herself up. So
Debbie is the one woman hype train.
Yeah. And then like the whole thing with Michaela and JT, and the sugar.
Would you get I'm happy you brought that up. Would you get mad? Are you a sugar person? Would you get mad that someone ate all the sugar?
Yeah, but I mean, I might be the one eating all the sugar.
So. It's Kara mad at herself, being like, oh God.
I finished it.
No, I feel like I would be angry. I don't know. There was just a lot of mess last episode.
Yeah.
It was just like messy relationships. And that carries over in this episode. Before we start talking about this episode, I did say Will be joining us a little bit later on in the show. Let me get some housekeeping stuff out of the way. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel to make sure you catch all of our good content. If you are listening to this on Spotify, please leave us a rating. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll talk about this a little bit more at the end of the show. We now are on Patreon. So we have 2 tiers for you to join. As low as $3. Our top tier is $5 a month. And with the top tier, you can have a 1-week free trial. So go ahead, join on, try that free trial, see if you like it. We've got some very, very fun and exciting Patreon only videos coming out that we will talk about at the end of the show before we check out. So exciting stuff. Kara, I also didn't get to talk to you about the new logo. I talked to Will about it. Our new logo, the brand. What do you think? You can be honest. If you don't like it, you can say on camera, I don't like it.
No, I that would be so awkward.
Yeah, Randy, I gotta be honest with you. It's horrible.
No, I do like it. It is very retro, I like it.
Okay. It fits in one of your sweet things, right?
Yeah, so it's my sweet thing of the week.
Sweet thing of the week. That's it. That's all I was striving for right there. Also, check out Kara's podcast if you guys ever get the chance to. Wonderful listen. So let's get into this episode. Got a lot to talk about. There was a lot that happened this episode as well. And it started with, obviously, I also did not take any notes this episode. I was so busy. I got in a car accident yesterday.
Oh no.
We all good. I got a busted lip. I hope no one can see it. It's still kind of there.
Don't even see it.
I am so happy. But everybody's good. Everybody's fine. The only reason I bring that up is because I was doing so much car stuff today that it got to the point where I'm like, I got to watch this episode. So I was kind of doing car stuff and watching the episode. So if I forget something, forgive me. Let me know in the chat. Ancient Voices chat. Hop on over there. And Kara and Will try to keep me on track, make sure that I didn't miss anything. So I believe it was the Nuku tribe that was coming back to their camp. And Sandra obviously feeling good, like Sandra usually does. I got JT out. What did I say? You don't throw out my name because then you're going home. And this leaves Aubrey kind of on the outs. And I thought this was interesting that Aubrey voted with JT in a sense and felt so sad that she was on the outs because she wasn't on the outs before deciding to go with JT. Like JT was the clear man on the outs going into that final tribal count or that last tribal council. So I mean, like Aubrey was in the majority. She was with her tribe strong, kind of showed her cards. I mean, I think she could have played it off like, oh, who voted JT? I have no idea. And she could have just slid right back into the alliance that she was in. Kara, what did you think of this kind of situation? How Sandra was feeling on top of the world, and on the flip side of that, Aubrey's feeling like, I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, it was tough for Aubrey. I don't know. I feel like they did such a good job at the tribal of like convincing everyone that it was going to be Michaela and not JT, that I feel like if I was sitting there, I'd be like, of course they're voting Michaela. Like, why wouldn't we be voting her, you know? So I feel like I can't blame her for voting with JT there. I feel like they were very convincing.
I mean, even Michaela was kind of playing it up.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. But like, understandably, like she is on the bottom now, I guess. Well, I guess not really because they swapped.
Spoiler alert.
Good for her, I guess.
No, but yeah, I mean, you said it. They did a great job last tribal council of kind of, I mean, Michaela deserves an Academy Award. She was like, obviously, it's me going home. I don't think there's anything I can do. And then you had Sandra, who was literally said, I think it was really smart how she kind of built up this illusion of, hey, we got to keep the tribe strong. So we're going to keep him around. Even Jeff Probst was like, he talking about JT. So they did a great job of fooling Aubrey and obviously JT as he went out the door. Let's add Will here. Actually, almost perfect timing for Will.
Yeah, always perfect timing.
We literally just finished talking about like last week's episode and how Sandra came back to camp and felt all good and everything. Everybody, Willie, 2 hands. I love the sunglasses, Will. So let's
thank you.
The tribe swap, the second tribe swap that we had this season, but it's a little different. We're going back to 2 tribes. Imagine that. Survivor going to 2 tribes could never be the new
Unheard
era.
of.
I know.
So we have Nuku, we got Mana, Tavua is no more. The tribe shakeout, really interesting. On the new Nuku tribe, you have Sandra and Varner, who are feeling on top of the world. Everything's going their way. Now they're on the bottom. And then on the flip side, you have Brad Culpepper and Troyzan as the only 2 guys on this new female-led tribe. And we're going to get to that because of Troyzan's past experiences. I know Will's probably going to have a lot to say with that. But there was one person left out, and it's our favorite castaway, Debbie. And Debbie gets nobody. What did I used to say? Nobody's worried about Debbie.
Yeah, I'd be worried about Debbie now.
Debbie gets to go to it was Exemption Island, right? Will, I said this earlier.
Exile Island.
Thank you. I said that I didn't take notes. I had a lot going on. I was like multitasking while watching this episode, so I might be kind of jumping around more than usual because I'm trying to do it all based off memory. So she gets to go to exile. We're going to talk all about that. The first thing I want to talk about, though, and something I skipped over, is Ty found an immunity idol a couple weeks back, used it, got our poor Malcolm out of the game, played that really well, goes on in the middle of the night before the tribe swap, I believe, to look for this new idol, said something about wood. Why does Survivor not do this more often? He took water, dumped it on the wood to reveal a symbol that kind of showed him where the idol was. Kara, I'll go to you first. I love this. This is cool. I was like, why have we not seen this again? Like, you could put this on any, I don't know, bark of wood or something, and it would change the game. Stop, like, you'd have people going around camp just dumping water on everything. So, Kara, what do we think about kind of this dynamic of finding an idol and Ty finding a second one?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I liked it. And he's just so good at finding the idols. Like, where are these other people? Why are they not trying to find them? Like, he just keeps finding them. He's just good at it.
Yeah, I mean, finding idols, it's a skill, man. Like, as much as I dogged on Ty, I feel like I keep saying, oh, I dog on Ty all the time, and then I get, like, I compliment, I gas up Ty all the time. I think at this point, I don't dog on the guy anymore. I think he's a really good player because finding idols, it's a skill. It's a skill from Russell Hantz, and it's a skill from Ty, and that's how those 2 players are similar. You know.
Well, and I think the thing too, and we can go ahead and say how he goes on to the Nuku camp. And this is such a smart move. He's like, well, if I know Survivor, this is how they hit it back at, was it Mana or Tavua? It was Mana, I believe. This is how they hit it at the Mana camp. I bet you they hit it the same way at Tavua. So he goes right back to the water well, dumps water on it again, finds another symbol. This is his third idol. And I believe he said like 3 or 4 days, maybe less than that. He might have said 2 days. This man has found 3 idols. Like, Will, he's honestly dominating the game so far.
I would not say dominating this game because we'll get to that too later on. I do think Ty's a weird guy because he's very good at a very small part of Survivor. You know, it's like a D&D character. He put all of his stats on his social game, like his charisma and finding idols, and put no more stats on strategy, no stats in the challenge. 2021 won across the board.
So you're talking like video game. If there's a Survivor video game and Ty's a pick a character, it's social game all the way, idol hunting all the way, and then everything else is like 0.
I mean, does he need anything else at that point? Like, good social game and idols, that can take you far.
It can. It's like the hero version of Russell Hantz. Again, like Russell Hantz, no points in social strategy, no points in challenges, just 20 in strategy, 20 in idol hunting. You know, we need a player now who's really good at challenges and idols and not good at social or strategy.
I feel like we've had that type of player before, but it's just so impressive. And Kara, his ability to go to this new tribe and say, this is where I need to look. Like, now you look at the game, like we're still in the pre-merge kind of time of the game. This man's got 2 idols, and it's about whether he uses it correctly or not. True, and I was very nervous at that tribal council that he would like to waste one, but so far he's 1 for 1 in using them the correct way.
Yeah. I think he's doing great.
Yeah, he's absolutely.
Even if he used it, he still has another one and can just find another one. Like, he could just keep using them and refinding them.
If I was Ty, I would be like, hey, Jeff, can I go to the Tavua camp? I don't care if I miss time with my tribe. I just want to go to Tavua. Forgive me. How long would it take to run to the water well at Tavua? Give me 5 minutes at the Tavua camp. That's what I would be preaching. I don't think Jeff would buy it one bit. Let's see. Kyler adds in the chat. LOL. Ty, Russell, Gary, Hojeboom are the same player essentially.
Randy,
I still think Ty and Yowman are very, very similar. Ty definitely. Ty definitely in mid-max. What'd you say, Will?
Can you say Gary's last name again?
I don't want to. Isn't it Hojeboom?
It's Hogaboom.
I
Gary
like
Hawkins actually is the real name, landscaper.
Oh, I like Hojeboom so much better. I
like Gary Hawkins personally. Kara has no idea what we're referring to. R.I.P. Kara.
Kara's like, great job, guys. Anyways, Gary taking it back, classic character. Okay, let's get on to. I'm going to talk about the new Nuku camp first. This is Sandra and Varner on the bottom. We see some relationship building. Will, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. It's coming up next week. We see Varner. And, Kara's like, spoiler.
It's next week.
It's next week. Oh, and Will won't be here next week. It's just you and I, Kara.
I can't wait.
It's that episode.
Ocean. As soon as I saw like the scheduling, I giggled so much because I don't have to talk about Varner next week.
yeah, that is next week. So get ready, Kara. Maybe I'll just ditch and it'll just be like Kara solo screen.
Oh.
Yeah, Kara. Yep. All right, Kara.
No, nothing jump scare. No, thank you.
Anyways, there's foreshadowing here that I didn't recognize the first time. Obviously, we see the relationship start to build between Varner and Zeke. And Zeke even says in confessional, I really like Varner. I actually think Varner can be someone that I can use as a number moving forward. But pretty much everyone on the tribe wants to get Sandra out of this game. Everybody's scared about her. Zeke's like, we got to get her out. Even has a confessional saying, yo, Sandra's good at this game because everybody always looks at her and says, we'll leave Sandra. We'll get her out eventually. We'll get her out next time. And then I can't remember if it was Zeke or someone else saying it, but they mentioned how everyone who has played with Sandra at this point has lost $1 million to Sandra. She, at this point in time, she had never been voted out of the game, and she was still just a 2-time winner, 2 for 2. So we see people start to get scared, worried about her. But the problem is they don't want Sandra and Varner to know that they're the easy targets because they don't want an idol being played. So they make a risky decision, Will. Risky, we know why it's risky, but they make a risky decision to throw Ty's name out as one that they might be going for. Let's tell Varner and Sandra we're going to vote Ty and make sure Ty doesn't find out because Ty has a tendency to flip-flop and he's got a tendency to find idols. Were you a fan of this move? And we'll get to it a little bit later as well because there's more strategy that goes on. Were you a fan of this move, or do you think they should have just one of you two are going home? Varner or Sandra, one of you's going.
No, I think it was the move to make. I mean, no one knows that Ty has an idol. And they only know that Ty had one idol, and that can always be luck, that can always be whatever. And so I think it's hard because they don't know if Sandra or Varner have an idol. Varner is always like a big question mark of a player because he's only played twice. Once was season 2, so that's not Survivor if you think about it. And Sandra Diaz-twine is a scary player, the scariest player on the entire cast. And so I think it was the smartest move. I mean, I would probably talk to Ty about it and be like, Ty, we trust you. It's just we have to tell something to Sandra, but she doesn't have anything. Just say something to Ty, or just let it
I think Zeke played it a great way when him and Varner were just kind of laying on the beach. The way he could have came out and said, I'm telling you right now to vote Ty. Like, he could have done it in a way that makes it suspicious of like, why is it like I have to vote Ty, stuff like that. I think he did it in a subtle way where he's like, man, I'd love to keep you around. You're a cool dude. Like, if there's anyone who scares me, it's Ty, because it sounds genuine. It sounds like, Varner can take that to Sandra, and he did. He took it and said, hey, we might be okay here. The way that Zeke said it made it sound so natural in the sense that Varner can be like, oop, he accidentally said that. He accidentally just threw out Ty's name. It didn't sound like he was forcing, you guys need to vote Ty. We're voting Ty tonight. It just sounded like, oops, Zeke slipped and accidentally said he threw out Ty's name. And Kara, that's such a big thing in Survivor. If you throw out someone's name in a general conversation, it's kind of like, oh, maybe there's something there. There's a crack we can slip into.
Right. Yeah. Zeke was so smooth with it. That conversation couldn't have gone better between the two of them.
Yeah. And I am fully fooled them. Do you think, though, that they should have thrown out a different player other than Ty? Because I didn't know if Ty was the best player to throw. I mean, who else do we have on this tribe? Who else was there? Ozzy was there.
Yeah, but Ozzy is such a physical guy. Like, he's always good for challenges.
He's not going to find idols, though.
He's not going to find idols.
I feel like he would have been most convincing to have thrown out besides Ty.
Ooh, I kind of like this because you could have played on the part, we need to get Ozzy out because he will dominate the physical game once we get to the merge.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, I feel like we've heard from people that Ty is kind of wishy-washy. I think back to episode 1 where Sari was going to Ty and like, hey, Ty, are you with me? And Ty's like, I don't know. It's just a vibe. You should talk to Brad Culpepper again. Like, Ty has social capital in this game. I'm not denying that. But people have been questioning where he's at. And so I feel like it's a lot more natural because I feel like Ozzy is a lot more level-headed. Like, I feel like more people know where Ozzy is standing despite being a physical threat. So it might be weirder for someone to be close with Ozzy and then immediately throw out his name. I think Ty was the objectively correct play.
I mean, it worked out. Ty never heard. We assume Ty never heard his name. Obviously, we'll talk about what kind of happened at Tribal Council, the paranoia that started to take over a little later on in the show. Let's talk about the new Mana tribe. You have an all-women tribe except for these two men, which is Troyzan and Culpepper. And Culpepper even says, I'm kind of on the bottom now. It's Sierra and myself, and then you have Troyzan. But then you have Haley, you have Aubrey, you have Sari, you have, who am I missing here? There's two other women there that I'm missing. Michaela, yeah. And
Aubrey, Sari, Haley, Michaela, Sierra.
Sierra was one.
I thought you said Sierra.
I did, but I think I forgot that I looped her in with Culpepper. Yeah. So Brad feels confident with Sierra, but he still knows he needs the numbers. He approaches Troyzan, and Troyzan just goes, I feel like I'm on my own, man. And I feel for Troyzan because this man has had no alliance the entire game. And like, if we ever get to speak with Troyzan, I want to ask him about that. Like, how did it just seems like he never gets an alliance and he's just on his own. He's got his idol. But Brad wanted to make sure he pulled Troyzan in, being the only guys. Troyzan has this funny confessional where he goes, I don't want a one world like situation again. Kara, did you ever see One World?
No.
Troyzan ends up being pretty much the only guy left with like 6 women and one other crazy old dude named Tarzan.
So deja vu.
Yeah. And it was literally Troyzan versus all of the women.
Is that why he's called Troyzan?
No, he that was just like a nickname he gave himself at the start of the season because they wanted to beef with him and
that season you had a Troyzan and a Tarzan. So it was they both had their own nicknames, but in One World we get the iconic phrase of he wins this like immunity challenge that he really, really, really needed to win, and because all the girls were going to go after him, and he just yells, this is my island, and like is like bragging to them, and the women like hated him that season.
Oh yeah.
So that's why
Aw.
Troyzan is like, I definitely don't want to be bamboozled by women again, because now he finds himself in another situation where it's him, another guy, and 5 women. So this is kind of Will. I mean, you have seen that season. This is deja vu for Troyzan, and Troyzan had to be looking at this like, man, this is worst case scenario.
Troyzan, man, I think he might be one of the biggest just underdogs in Survivor. I never realized it because Troyzan's kind of underrated in the Survivor fandom. There was actually a Reddit post about him in particular today where he's like, yeah, Troyzan's a big underdog and kind of undeserving of the vitriol he got from the women in One World. But like One World, without spoiling too much, he was basically just like the odd man out. The One World cast was pretty one-sided between the men and women. The men kind of,
the men were awful. They the women steamrolled the men is what happened.
It wasn't like Micronesia where it's like the women were just better than the men. Like the men sucked. And then
they were like attacking each other when the women were just like letting it happen.
So the men in One World, they won the challenge, but still collectively, unanimously agreed to go to tribal, knowing one of them would get voted out. And that was the most interesting part of Survivor One World. And then we get to this season where it's like Troyzan. Every time we hear about Troyzan, they're always like, I don't really trust Troyzan. Like we did with the first tribe swap, everyone had a confessional about how they don't trust Troyzan, how Troyzan was going to be the first one to go. Troyzan has only had himself the entire season. So I love Brad Culpepper for kind of throwing out the olive branch to Troyzan, because Troyzan needs one.
I mean, in Troyzan body, he said, look, if I can do this, I'm just trying to stay in the game. He's obviously trying not to use his idol. So let's see, we got Chris in the chat. What's up, Chris? Hello. So Kara, I present the question to you. They need 4. Assuming he has Sierra, then you have Brad, you have Troyzan. Who do we believe is that 4th piece between like Michaela, Aubrey, Haley, and Sari that maybe they could pull in? Maybe Brad could pull in to have a solid 4.
Aubrey?
That's who I'm
or Michaela.
And I say that I've seen the season and I don't remember how it plays out whatsoever. But I was also thinking Aubrey. Will?
I was thinking Haley, honestly. Just because they were both a part of Mana 2.0, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And Haley and Sierra, they have the Worlds Apart connection. And so I don't think it's Brad going to Haley. I think it's Sierra going to Haley, which helps Brad out. I think that's kind of the play. Because who does Haley realistically have? You know,
Haley's kind of like the female version of Troyzan.
Exactly.
it's just there.
And so
that makes sense.
I think it would be easier for Sierra to go like, hey, I want to trust you over Brad, but it makes sense for us to stick with Brad right now and kind of working this forward. I think that is the play. If you were asking my stock watch opinion.
Yeah, obviously I want your stock watch opinion.
Yeah, my stock watch opinion, buy your Aubrey Bracco stocks right now. No, I mean, Aubrey as well. I just love Aubrey as a player because I feel like she's like the people's player. But in alliance with like Brad, Troyzan, Sierra, and Sari is a weird group that I feel like should never happen under any circumstance. So I think Haley's kind of the right play here.
I was definitely happy the swap happened because I feel like we needed some type of swap. There was a lot of lopsided where you had an odd person out, and now I feel like the swap has made it a lot more interesting moving forward. Let's go ahead and move on to talking about Debbie. Good old Debbie, and she gets to go on exile, but this is a game-changing exile. It's something that nobody expected. Everyone's expecting her to go to an island and freeze her butt off and really struggle. And no, she's got this nice like ship. I don't know if it's a yacht or not. I don't know. Like she's got this nice ship with fruit and all the food you can eat and all the drinks you could drink. Kara, I mean, like it looked like a vacation spot. It looked relaxing.
Yeah. Debbie had it made on that boat. Like I want to go to that exile island. Like,
I would pay a lot of money to go to that exile island. If they still had the boat up and they were like, pay, I don't know, how much would I pay? I said a lot of money, and then I'm thinking I'm not paying more than $100. I'll pay 400. I'll pay 400 to go on there.
400. I'd do 450 just to outbid you, dog.
If it's still in the same location, if it's like this is the same boat Debbie went on and the same boat Cochran went on, I'd pay 400.
I like how you said Debbie's name before Cochran. Like yeah, Debbie's the bigger player than Cochran. And there goes Randy. Oh,
there he is.
There he is.
Little Cochran. Thank you, Todd Herzog.
Also have my own little Cochran right here. If Cochran was a Pokemon instead of Cochran, but you know.
Appreciate you. Well, this is the twist. So the twist is she gets expert advice. She gets to eat and sleep well, I'm guessing. We didn't really see that, but I'm guessing sleep well. And she gets to meet Cochran, who is a former winner of the show. He didn't win too many seasons before this. I want to say, like 6 seasons before? Something
8.
like that. Was it 8?
I think, because he won 26. 34.
I always forget 26. It was that early.
Yeah, I mean, Caramon, it's just he won a weird season. He also played 12 seasons prior. It's just, do I know how to do 34 minus 26? I have no idea. I'll work it out. No,
you're right. You're right. It's 8.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. 8 seasons in between, but she gets this expert advice. And I went on to the Nullified Take earlier with Coach Drew, who just did 46 Survivor seasons in 46 days.
That's
well done, sir.
That's a marathon.
And we were talking about this, and he brings up a great point. I love this twist because I'm biased towards Cochran. Cochran is my favorite player of all time. I do remember this moment, and I remember when it happened live. I was like, "Oh my God, it's Cochran! Holy crap!" But thinking on it more, it's a little weird of a twist. Like Cochran is not the. Most people would say not the great. I would even say not the greatest player to ever play the game. It almost feels like the only reason they had this is they wanted Cochran involved this season, but he didn't want to play because Cochran has gone out there and said he never wants to play Survivor again. He did what he needed to do. There's nothing left to prove. And it almost feels like they approached him, "Hey, Cochran, we want you on Game Changers." He said no. They said, "Well, we really want you. What if we did this twist?" And he's like, "Oh, I guess I could go out there for a day." Like, that's what it feels like. And Coach Drew said, what would have happened if, because it was completely random, right? Debbie didn't draw a buff. What would have happened if Sandra went out there? Then you have Cochran. What the hell is Cochran going to teach Sandra about the game of Survivor?
I think it's less of it being like a coaching thing. I think it was phrased like that because Debbie wasn't a winner and it's Debbie. But I think it's always good to just have a third party. Like he said, it's good to have a third party. Sandra could bounce ideas off of Cochran. Even then, if not, Sandra could just tell funny stories about what's happening, like killing baby goats. And I don't know. I don't think
it's the same with like if Ozzy went out there. Do you think Ozzy would have been like, "Man, I look down and I see Cochran coming over here, and I just knew like he could help my game out, and he could help me win this game." I feel like Ozzy would have been like, "Oh, that's cool. It's Cochran."
Well,
and that would have been
Cochran
it.
And Ozzy, they had a rivalry too back in season 22 as well. Remember that, Randy? Remember or not 23 South Pacific?
I should remember it. I do
you
not.
Should. You don't? You don't remember Cochran's original season?
In one ear, out the other.
Oh man. Yeah, no. So Cochran, for the quick history buff, Cochran is the reason why Ozzy lost South Pacific. Basically,
oh, see, that would have been fun. That was the very first season I ever watched was South Pacific, so maybe that's why I didn't remember it.
So Cochran basically flipped on Ozzy's tribe, and Ozzy kind of hated Cochran.
Okay, I remember that now.
So
I remember that. Yes.
So I would have loved the content we would have gotten if it was like Ozzy and Cochran again, you know, like Cochran being because Ozzy has always been, you know, cocky and confident. I will say the Cochran twist is just weird. It reminds me of Big Brother 22, the second All-Star season, when they wanted Dr. Will Kirby, but Dr. Will Kirby, like Cochran, was like, hey, I don't want to play anymore. I've already won, whatever, who cares? And so Dr. Will Kirby had a weird cameo in the middle of the season to announce a twist and then disappeared like nothing ever happened. It was never brought up ever again. That's what this felt like.
Yeah.
It definitely felt out there. We got a few comments here before I go to Kara about her opinion. I bet Randy wishes he was on that boat just so he could meet Cochran. Nothing else. I will say that Debbie handled it better than I would have. I probably would have started crying. That's like my idol right there. Chris adds in, it felt very MasterChef to me. The cooking show often brings past people back as guest judges. Kyler says, the content we would have got if it was Sandra. Nothing. Sandra probably would have been like, and who are you again? Kara, I mean, like, how much would you feed off of Cochran here? Having like a former winner come on, like how, and we'll get to the advantages that he proposes here too, but like how much do you think that's useful information to have someone come back? Because this happened to me in Expedition Online, is I had Janet who came in. Yes, the Janet came in and kind of helped me out in a very crucial part of the game. And I was so far on the bottom that I actually got to see her twice. Yeah, they just kept sending me every time we did a schoolyard pick. I wasn't being picked because
Lucky you.
I know, right? I should have known right away I was not in an alliance. But back to the question though, like how crucial is it to hear, you know, someone who's won this before knows how to get to the end, especially if you're someone like Debbie?
I think it's great to have someone that you can just talk to, tell them everything you're thinking, and have them come back with like an opinion or an idea or something that you can do to help better yourself. Because he has no stakes in the game, so it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter to him. So like, he's just gonna tell you, you know, he's gonna listen to you. He's gonna tell you his opinion.
I will say that it was funny when he was going over there and he said, I was worried seeing Debbie because Debbie seems to be an expert at everything. So what am I going to teach Debbie?
And it was funny how he like asked her like, how are you feeling? And she's like, I feel great. Like she had like the whole thing that happened with Brad the last episode just didn't happen. Like none of that mattered anymore. She was great.
Yeah, she was like
food in her stomach.
She was like, yeah, I got into an argument with Brad Culpepper, but Brad's afraid of me. He got intimidated, and Cochran had no choice but to go along. I think at a certain point, Cochran was like, Debbie's kind of off her rocker. She's not gonna win. Oh, I'm just gonna have fun with it.
It was entertainment for him.
Oh yeah. Now I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What kind of advice would you give Debbie? Let's just say you were John Cochran. Let's just say you were good at Survivor. And you saw Debbie in her first season. You have no idea how she's doing this season, but you know she's kind of interesting. She knows everything, and she's telling you, "Oh yeah, I got into an argument with Brad Culpepper." Like, what would your response be?
I think his advice was really good. Like, I think of the whole especially. I will give Cochran that. I've always said Cochran's a very perceptive player, and that's why he's one of my favorite players all time. I think he's one of the most underrated winners of all time. I don't think people talk about him enough. I really don't. But I think he could read the situation, and I love the advice. I think the advice that he gave Debbie isn't the same advice he would have gave someone like Ozzy, and it was more kind of written for Debbie in the sense of, hey, you know, sometimes it's okay to take a back seat. Right. You don't always have to get your opinion across. That's actually a big part of Survivor is you can let people bury themselves if you just kind of sit back and let situations play out. Kara, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think that was a great way for him to spin it, particularly towards Debbie's situation.
I agree.
Yeah. I think
I agree.
That's fair.
No, that's all you gotta say. Point, Randy. Points to Ravenclaw. So there was another thing. Kara, let me go back to you and ask you this question before I go on to Will, because this is kind of the big question of the week. 3 advantages. You get a choice here. You have a fake idol kit. You have an extra vote. And then you have an advantage for your tribe in the next immunity challenge. She goes with the extra vote here. And she seemed like she didn't really need to think on it. She kind of just went, extra vote. What are you going with and why?
I also would have taken the extra vote. I feel like I think that, in my opinion, I think that was the best one. Maybe the tribe advantage, but I think having an extra vote that no one knows about, I think that's good. And especially you're going into this tribe now. I don't know. I think I just would have went with extra vote. As soon as I heard it, I was like, extra vote.
Why do I feel like we're all gonna say something different? Will, what are you gonna say?
So, Randy, we're all going to say something different? That implies that you're going for the fake idol kit.
I'm going the idol kit.
What?
I'm going the idol kit.
That was the worst one.
I don't think that was the worst one at all. I think that was the best one.
Randy, you're not Bob Crowley, dog.
Listen. Okay, that's my only fear is I'm not an artistic person. So would I even be able?
Why would you take it?
I would get the kit and I'd be like, I don't know how to make this at all, and it would look absolutely awful.
Yeah,
but I think if you can use that stuff, I think it's the best because Debbie. It depends on the situation you were in. I don't think Debbie's in a particularly good situation in the game. And I think there's so many things you could do with a fake idol. You can hide it and then plant it. That person found an idol. I saw them find the idol. You could also make the idol and save it for yourself. And I think in the right situation, you can use that. You could pull, if it's an idol kit, it's presumably going to look like an idol. Like, it's got to look just like the type of idols that Survivor usually have on the show. So if you make a good enough one, you could easily pull this out. If you knew you were in danger, I'm playing my idol tonight. You could show everyone, look, here it is. This is, oh, where'd you find it? Found it over there. This is the idol I'm playing tonight. And then it can buy you another day if everybody buys your whole, I'm playing this idol. Now, yes, it's risky. People can call your bluff. But I just think there's more options with the idol kit. I'm not a fan of extra votes. I think they're pointless 9 times out of 10. Or useless is the word I was looking for. So I would never go with the extra vote. And the team challenge thing, you're helping your tribe maybe win one challenge. So for me, it was an easy... I'm taking the idol kit because there's a lot of stuff I could do with it.
You're missing a big thing, though. Debbie's going to the tribe that lost. And I feel like a lot of challenge wins snowballs, right? So you win one challenge early on that helps you win the next challenge and the next challenge and the challenge after that. And so Debbie's coming from someone who's on the bottom, right? Or like on the outs. A weird social game with Debbie, freaking out of Brad Culpepper on Exile, has no way to gain any social capital. Right, she's going to Exile Island. These people have played before. They know that there's something in Exile. They don't know what it's about, but they know.
Yeah, that she's going to come back with something.
She's going to have something. And so if she says, "Hey, I have a challenge advantage for us. I got it for the tribe," because she's going to the losers, the people that have lost the challenge. So obviously they're going to be a man down. Obviously they're going to not be the best challenge people. So I think that is honestly the play, because I think it plays into a lot of different strengths. I think the extra vote is the second best because an extra vote is always.
So we are going 3 different.
Yeah, sorry, 3 different ways.
I was reading the comments over here. We'll get.
Wait, you were picked the challenge advantage?
I knew we were going to disagree on. Yeah, we all chose something different.
Actually, I want to respond to the Big Show Gunno comment about Cochran getting no respect, because I think I know why. I think the reason why people don't talk about Cochran isn't because they think Cochran's a bad player. It's just Cochran's played on 2 seasons that aren't really loved by fans.
Yeah, it happened so long ago too.
Yeah, it happened a while ago. Cochran played, he kind of steamrolled Karamoan, and he was kind of just an early emerge boot in 23. And so I don't think people talk about Cochran in the same way that we just talk about like Tony Vlachos. I do think, though, people always bring him up for playing one of the only 2 perfect games ever played on Survivor. And so I think he's a top 10 winner. I don't think he's a top 5 winner. And going about the extra votes useless 9 out of 10 times. There you go, John Cochran. The most recent comment, I think that is just a 1 out of 10 times with Marianne being useful, because I don't really know a lot of other good extra vote plays. I just remember Fishback kind of overplaying his 2 votes back in 31.
Yeah, I want you to think of every time an extra vote actually helps you, and then think of or help someone pull off a move, and then think of every single time an extra vote just went out the door with somebody or just got played and they didn't need it.
Yeah, I
mean, it's better than it hurting you. Like you have the fake idol, what that could hurt you. Like
it definitely could hurt. Now we're just
I feel like I'd rather
to
have an extra vote that no one knows about, potentially use it to my advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't matter.
No, I like that. I like that argument as well. Also, I loved I have to say, Kara, I love the sass that you gave Will when you found out he was going to pick the team.
What?
I've never seen that much. It was so subtle, but she said, wait, you're going with the team challenge? And Will goes, yeah. She goes, oh, okay.
Yeah, dog. I gave pretty good reason. Like, obviously, these are the advantages.
Yeah, I completely I think I must have zoned out when you were explaining why you would take it.
I was going to say that I definitely zoned out because I was reading the comments. And then that's why I was like, wait a minute.
Chat, back me up.
I didn't even realize that you answered already and that you were explaining why. I'm sorry.
Everyone was like staring at me, and I just kept talking because no one responded. Everyone was just like,
okay, Will, one more try. Quickly, why would you go with the team challenge? I heard some of it.
So the main thing is
you're going on the losing tribe
that lost, and so I don't know if they're going to be able to win another challenge because people snowball challenges a lot in Survivor, especially pre-merge. We see that a lot nowadays with new era Survivor. I also think Debbie was just on the bottom, didn't have a lot of social capital. I think this is just an easy way for her to say, hey guys, I don't have any advantage. I just got something for the tribe. I know it's kind of dumb, but it removes a lot of paranoia people could have about someone going to exile because they don't know what exile is. And so I think it can help.
Will, you were, I don't know if it's on my end or if it was all together. You were this close to cutting out, and I was like, please cut out. Please cut out. So he has to say it all over again.
Talk to me on Twitter, dog. I'm gonna leave a YouTube comment pretty soon. Just defending myself. Chat, back me up.
Let's see what we got here.
That makes sense.
Kyler kind of agrees with me. If the idol kit comes with a parchment for an idol, then maybe. Yeah, I bet you it did come with like a little parchment for you to write on. The problem with that is I do some stupid riddle like I don't know. I would try to rhyme rock with luck somehow, and it'd be like look by the rock for a little bit of luck, and they'd be like, what the hell is this? Or something like I couldn't think of like a normal Survivor riddle. So I don't know. Maybe I'm talking myself out of the idol kit. I think if you're an artistic person and you have the ability to put the little beads and stuff together, go for it. But what would actually happen is I'd be on the beach with my full out kit trying to get this bead on this little piece of string, and someone would come by and ruin the whole thing. So Kara,
how much time are you taking? How much time are you taking to put it together?
You would have to find a place that you're by yourself, and then you'd have to have enough time to put it all together. So I guess I just don't come over here, guys, for a while. It's kind of
go out into the ocetion.
Wait, what are y'all talking about? I'm so confused.
Well,
you would have the entire time on exile. Debbie would have like the two. Debbie would have like
that's right. Just do it there,
guys.
I told you that I was multitasking.
It's easy. You don't have to think about it.
Sarah would take the extra vote. Like, look, if you get the team challenge booster, you have to focus on that during the challenge. If you get the beads and stuff, you got to focus on that. She's taking the extra vote, sitting back and working on her tan. That's exactly what she's doing. Let's see. Chris adds in the chat. This was season 34, and up until that point, extra votes hadn't worked at all. Good point. You got to remember when the season aired. Chris also adds, I would make the fake idol kit purely to play a prank. See, that's what I was thinking. Let's see. Oh, this is Will. A box without hinges, key, or lid, yet golden treasures.
That'd be my clue.
Oh, that's not bad.
Great clue, by the way. Thank you.
We get to the immunity challenge. Shout out to the Mana tribe for completing the challenge at the time, completing the puzzle faster than anyone else. Obviously, it kind of looks lame now because we got used to people like Evie and Carson just putting the puzzle together immediately. But Nuku really didn't have any time to get back in this challenge. They were kind of struggling at the beginning. They got slowed down on the monkey bars by, say, Sandra. Sorry, had to call you out. Love you, Sandra. And this causes Nuku to go to tribal council. Will,
Yes.
this should have been easy, but Survivor is almost never easy.
Yeah.
And is this paranoia that gets the best of Ty?
Kind of. I mean, so knowing what we know now, it worked out. And I think it kind of plays, I don't know. It does. It's so hard to explain because I understand the paranoia. I do, because Sandra is a giant player, but Ty is in a perfect position to just sit back and relax. Whenever he gets asked a question, just say, I don't know what's going on. Either say that or what Ty should have done is he should have gone to like Varner and Sandra and been like, hey guys, what's going on, and have him be paranoid, because that would signify to Sandra and Jeff, like, hey, you know, why is Ty's paranoid? We're about to vote him out. That would play into the narrative given to him by Zeke, right? About Ty being paranoid and shifty. Instead, you know, Ty decided to tell Varner about Sandra I don't know why. I think in Survivor, what people forget is like, if you are allies with someone and they're allies with someone else, they are just your friend, and you don't need to like build like a bigger bridge, right? Ty should have realized that Zeke is Ty's friend, Zeke is Varner's friend, and so Varner and Ty are they're friends by connections. They don't need to have like a final two deal. They don't need anything else. And I think that's why I knock points off of Ty, because he's a self-admitted, you know, not a good strategist. Anywho, that's my 2 cents. It's weird and complicated.
He's not a great strategist, but Kara, I present the question of, was this Ty really getting close to blowing up his game or wasting an idol, or was this Survivor maybe elevating the situation to maybe make the audience think it's not going to be Sandra? Because even at Tribal Council, we saw Sandra be like, it's me tonight. Like, Jeff, I'm going home. It seemed, no matter what was being said, that it was very apparent to Sandra that she was the vote. She was going home. So which one is it? Did Ty get really close to blowing up his situation, or was this just kind of CBS and Survivor trying to fool the audience in a sense?
I think fool the audience, but also I don't think Ty being like, I heard Sandra, is that crazy, because if everyone else is saying Ty's name, they have to give him a name, you know? So I didn't think that was that crazy. And I felt like it was like genuine reaction. Like he's nervous. Like he heard Sandra, like what's happening? They must be saying my name, whatever, you know? I didn't think it was bad. Even if he did play the idol, like it doesn't matter. He has another one. So even in the end, if he did, and I thought like, I was kind of like convinced at the tribal. I was like, oh, maybe it's not going to be Sandra. You know, maybe they are going to flip on Ty.
I mean, they did a great job. And Ty mentioned earlier on in the episode that he feels more nervous with two idols, because it's like, you don't want to go home. You don't want to pull a James and go home with two idols in your pocket. That was a Survivor China reference. Spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't seen Survivor China. Sorry, Kara. Oh yeah, she did. She did that one. Yeah,
we made a reference that Kara gets.
Yeah. No, but so you don't want to pull a James in that situation. So I fully get what he's saying. What did we think about Sandra said, Ty, you want to whisper something in my ear? And he, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Goes straight in. And then he outs Ozzy in front of everybody. He just throws out the name. Maybe we should vote Ozzy. Carrie, you were saying it earlier, this smart decision, throw out the physical threat. Maybe people will latch onto that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not at that point was it the best thing. I thought maybe like earlier in the day, like instead of saying Ty or Sandra, throw out Ozzy's name as like the fake name and go from there. Because I feel like kind of it was too late at that point, unless like Ty went to Sandra and was like, I have an idol, I'm playing it, let's vote out. Like everyone's voting you. let's vote Ozzy. I'll use the idol. Like something like that. That could have been huge. But
Ty really could have controlled this vote if he really wanted to. Chris adds in, I am pretty sure I remember hearing that the situation was theater. They basically felt they had to blindside Sandra to send her home. We'll wrap us up about this, and then we'll kind of get to Chris's question here and Sandra getting voted out on day 16. I mean, overall, was this theater necessary?
Yes.
We mentioned it earlier, but Sandra seemed pretty apparent that she was the one going home. It seemed blatantly obvious that Sandra was on her way out the door.
Yes, just because it is Sandra, and I feel like you just don't know if she has an idol. That's what it comes down to. I don't know if Sandra ever found an idol, but this is also Sandra playing a much more like
she was the boss.
She was a mob boss.
She usually sits back, and I give her credit for that because she came in and she's like, I've already won twice sitting back and playing how I usually do. I'm going to come in and I'm going to boss people around this time. And I don't want to say she bossed people around, but she was almost like the mob boss in a sense. Like people went to her.
Yeah, I always said this, throughout the last few episodes, but I didn't want to spoil it for Kara, despite this being Sandra's war showing up until this point. I really think we saw a new side of Sandra this season, which I think made me respect her gameplay a lot more. Not saying I never did. It was just like I always thought Tony Vakos was the better two-time winner when I first started watching Survivor. I always thought, Tony's the boss. But like this is a new side of Sandra that we did not see in Pro Island or HVV. And it shows that she's able to play a much more cutthroat style of gameplay and not just, self-preservation.
And I mean, if the swap didn't happen, if the second swap didn't happen, she was in a really good position.
She would have made merge.
Like she was in the majority. She was making the merge. As a two-time winner, she was going to make the merge if this swap did not happen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't think
that's kind of crazy to think about.
Oh, yeah. And the day 16 curse would have never happened.
Well, let's get to some of these comments. So Kyler adds in, she found one in Winners at War.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that one.
Chris said she did find one on Heroes and Villains, so she found a couple. Or maybe bought one with the tokens. Yeah, I can't remember it.
I just remember her giving it to Denise.
Chris adds in this question. Hey, so can we talk about the whole day 16 curse? And if you guys are not aware of what the day 16 curse is, Sandra won her first 2 times playing. She has played 3 times since. And I'm not talking about Island of the Idols. I'm talking about she played Game Changers, obviously went home day 16. Winners at War went home day 16. And then she played Australian Survivor, Blood versus Water. Also went home day 16. So Chris adds in, I think it's a ridiculous thing to make a big deal about. If you won $2 million, you are not cursed. It's a coincidence. I'm on the fence here, Chris. I get what you're saying. I've always said that people are too harsh on Sandra because the conversation around Sandra from a lot of people is she's either your GOAT or she's extremely overrated because people like to say she can't make it past day 16. She's not overrated. She would have made the merge this season. And the fact that she doesn't get voted off first, second, or third after she's won $2 million is saying something like the type of player she is. She's a really good player. Even the players this season were like, this is why Sandra is so good because she talks to you and you're like, this is a dumb idea. Why would I keep you over them? But then she convinces you. Like that's what she's so good at. But the only reason that I say yes, it's a curse is the fact you went home day 16, your next 3 seasons. Yes, you can look at it as a coincidence, but I look at it as it's a curse at this point. Like it's like you can't make it past day 16. Kara, what side are you on? Do you consider it a curse or is it like, I mean, she's won twice?
Yeah, I mean, it is a coincidence that it just so happens to be the same, I guess. But I like the curse. I think that's a fun take on it. So I'll go with I'm team curse.
Are you team curse or team coincidence?
I'm team curse, man. I mean, I don't think it's like a curse. I don't think it's like diminishing to Sandra as a player.
He has to beat it. Like it's not like
Yeah.
Sandra does not need to come back and play again to make it past day 16. Whereas you make the argument Cirie needs to come back again to try to win the game.
I don't think any one of them need to come back, honestly. Also, way to spoil that Cirie doesn't win the season.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
sorry, Kara. I'm just knock that off your bingo card. Kara, were you going to add something to that?
I was going to ask, in Australian Survivor, did she also go out on day 16?
She did.
Yes.
She did.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Was called day 16 too, I think.
Yeah, the next. Oh. Yeah, she was in a good position, and she
it is a coincidence.
Was it her daughter? I want to say Nina voted her out day 16. Yeah.
Yep.
So
it is kind of crazy that it fell on the 16th day every other season, right?
And she mentioned it in Australian Survivor. She said, look, it's day 16. I've gone out day 16 the past 2 times I've played, but I think today's going to be different. Fingers crossed. Mm-hmm. And then they flipped on her. She was not the target, and they flipped on her and got her out day 16.
Just to get her out for day 16.
Yeah. So let's see. Kyler adds in. I feel that's like saying, why do we call it Dan's funeral? He didn't actually die. Oh.
Randy, do you get that? Do you get that reference, Kara?
I get this one.
Let's go, Kara.
I know one.
All right. Kara gets references.
Kara gets it. I don't get it.
It's Big Brother.
Big Brother.
I do not get that one.
It's one of the best Big Brother moments of all time. If you know, you know.
What season of Big Brother?
Season 14. I'll give you the clip. You don't really need to watch.
So good.
Okay, yeah,
really good.
Just send me the clip because I will never make it to that season. Let's see. So we've got some exciting stuff coming up for Survivor Now. If you guys didn't hear the announcement at the beginning of the show, big announcement announced on our Instagram today, and that is we now have a Patreon. We had a Patreon for a very short time, but it was a little too early on in our development. Now we are officially here with Patreon. We're going to be doing a lot of extra content coming up for you guys, a lot of fun extra content as well. There's 2 tiers. You can be a Survivor Now faithful for $3 a month, get some behind-the-scenes access, take part in some polls. There are some exclusive posts and videos that are made available for you guys. Or for an extra $2 a month, so $3 a month to be a Survivor faithful, $5 a month to be a Survivor Now legend. And that gets you basically access to everything. There's going to be vlogs if we go to watch parties and stuff. You can check out some vlogs that we might do at the watch parties. So it's going to get you behind the scenes access, behind the scenes interviews. And we've got a lot of stuff planned for you guys because we are for the fans by fans. Had to get that slogan in there. A couple videos we got coming up for you guys. Very excited about this one. So everyone is talking about Survivor 50, and we never got around to doing the Survivor 50 video. I love this comment by Kyler right here. It's never been cheaper to become a legend. $5 a month. Love it. Yes, Kyler. Yes. Love that. Love it. But this video, very looking forward to it. It's going to be exclusive on Patreon for faithful and legend members. So you can join either of those tiers. And we never got around to doing our Survivor 50 video, but this is kind of a fun take on it. So usually nowadays a Survivor cast is 18 castaways. We've had 6 new era seasons. So we are going to go from season 41 to season 46 and give you 3 castaways, only 3. So it's going to be really difficult to cut some. And we're going to be arguing about why this person over this person. We are going to come to a conclusion. 3 locks from each new era season that will return to Survivor one day. Not necessarily all to Survivor 50, but at some point they will come back. Maybe it's Caroline. Sorry, I had a manager called Caroline. Maybe it's Carolyn. Maybe it's Xander. Maybe it's Kelly. Who knows? So it's going to be a fun debate show. Dates are still to be determined, but we are looking at a tentative date of next Thursday for this video. So that's going to be a fun one. Again, you have to be a member of our Patreon, and then This one is only available to the Legend tier, so you got to be paying that $5 a month. Survivor Now Touchy Subjects. This, if you don't know what Touchy Subjects is, it's a classic Survivor challenge. It's where they answered questions about each other, like who's the most annoying around camp, who snores the loudest, who thinks they're running the game and they actually aren't.
Randy.
Stuff like that. It's all true. It's all very true.
I've played orgs with you, Randy. It's okay.
And this is going to be a fun kind of video. So grab something to drink because there's going to be a good group of us that are going. I know I'm going to be there. I know Ollie's going to be there. You'll have to stay tuned to see if Kara's there, Will's there. Maybe we can get Diaz-twine to come on and play with us. So it's going to be fun. Again, the date is tentative. There's not a set date. So make sure to, we'll post on Instagram whenever these are official so you can know to join Patreon and to watch it. Right now, the tentative date for this is next Friday night. I mean, you can't beat that. A nice Friday night of fun. So we'll see if we can keep it at that time. It just depends on when everybody can do it. And yeah, the last thing I got to say is for our Legend tier, it's only for our Legend tier, not our Faithful one. For our Legend tier, you can do a week of, what's the word I'm looking for? A week of free access. Why can I not? It's a trial. I cannot think of the word I'm looking for.
I have no idea what I don't.
It's a free trial. Is basically what it is. You get a week for free. You can see if you like it, if you like the bonus content, and then if you don't, you can not do it. So yeah, man, I got through that as fast as I could. Let's see some of these comments. Is this finally going to be a podcast with Will and Tegwith in it?
Nope. I'm going.
I do know. Tegwith will be there for the 3 locks for a new era season. So if Will's on it, then maybe.
I don't think I can if it's next week.
And then Chris had to, he'll be on vacation. So yeah, probably not. And then Chris, that would be hilarious if they only appear together on something behind the paywall. Maybe. Keep it exclusive. Maybe we'll just do one video where it's just Will and Tegwith.
Yeah. Well, Tegwith. This is an open invitation to Tegwith and the rest of the Survivor Now crew. You all have a free 1-day pass to Stock Watch with Will West and Jack Powell. I've always talked about wanting to do more like hosts or like more intermingling between the shows. Me and Tegwith, we're doing something soon, man. Like me and Tegwith, we've texted like once before. Tegwith seems really cool. You know, if y'all want Will West on Survivor Social, I don't know why, but you know,
you're welcome anytime.
Real quick before we sign off here, go to Will first. Will, anything exciting happening? I know you got a show coming up. I think I heard, was it July 12th?
Yeah, July 12th. We're playing at a bar in Catonsville, Maryland, and then the day after, my dad's playing a show. And then immediately after the show, same day, we're going to Myrtle Beach for vacation. Where
we will not be here for the Varner episode next week.
I'm so lucky. I will not also be here for any other podcasts we do, which is a shame, but you know, I'll make it work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Oh yeah, I'm already a little tan right now, but I'm gonna be like Larry the Lobster.
These two are just going on vacation, and I'm just stuck here, and I'm just nowhere, saving for an apartment.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Randy, are you moving soon? You don't need to.
I am. I move next month. Kara, what about you? What do you got coming up?
I'm also going on vacation, so maybe this is a good time to tell you I won't be here next week. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be here, but I will be on vacation.
You're going back on vacation.
But I'll be here. I'll be here Wednesday. I'll be here to discuss with you.
She says that now. Last minute, she's gonna be like, Randy, I'm at the beach and the bars.
Not
you better be here,
I'll be here.
It's gonna be just like this next week, and I'm gonna have to talk about
Varner, dude.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, next week's episode, same time, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We will be here to talk about a very, very emotional and dark episode, one of the darkest in the franchise. I can say that. So make sure to tune in. And then make sure to subscribe and like all of our videos on YouTube. Greatly appreciate it. If you're listening on Spotify, go ahead and leave us a rating. Thank you very much. And don't forget to check out our Patreon for all the fun videos coming up. We will catch you guys next time.